The next pair of research type we are going to look into is conceptual versus empirical. Now, conceptual research is something where, as the name suggests, we are dealing with a concept. We are dealing with an idea, some abstract idea, and we are trying to. The research is about, exploring the idea and maybe giving the theory about that idea, about that concept. So many researches in literature or philosophy, even most postdoc, not postdoctoral, doctoral works, their projects are conceptual researches. So their methods are much different than us. What psychologists we generally use are, you know, questionnaires, surveys, etc. Here in conceptual research, there might not be any need to actually collect any new data. For example, suppose there is a literature study about the poetic style of Tukaram and the poetic style of Jnaneshwar. So here what we are trying to, so the concept, the issue itself, the topic itself is very conceptual. So here there is no data other than their styles and a theory or some aspects of this idea are explored, reflected upon, compared, and that research becomes a conceptual research. Uh, some psychology example could be, as I've written, comparison between two personality theories. Now we are not trying to quantify, but suppose we take Piaget's theory versus Vygotsky's theory and compare between them, then that could become a conceptual research, right? So because we are comparing two concepts, two ideas, two theories. Yeah? So that is conceptual research. The opposite type of it is experimental research. So where it's not about the concept or idea or theory, but the research is database. The theory is not much importance, but whatever the data gives out, whatever picture the data brings out, that is our picture. That is our focus. That is our mm, you know primary focus for the research. So here example could be effect of certain drug on serotonin level. Here we are actually manipulating the IV independent variable, measuring its effect on DB. What if we give this drug like half a pill to 10 people, full pill to 10 people, how their serotonin levels change, and we keep measuring serotonin level. Now, this is an experimental study. So, experimental researchers are database researchers, unlike the conceptual researchers. I think that's clear enough. Mm, yeah. The next category we are going to look into is action research, explorative research, and evaluative research. Now, action research is kind of like applied research, but it is much more peculiar. So, as the name suggests, action, we are actually in action. For example, so applied research is focused on any practical solution, right? But action research is applied, but it is also in action. So when someone is actually undergoing some program or intervention. So suppose I'm actually conducting a health awareness program amongst a rural area, mm, teenagers. Maybe I'm actually uh, doing a hygiene awareness intervention, 10-day intervention in ninth standard in, I don't know, take some any village. So there I'm already taking that intervention. Okay, that program is going on. And at the same time, because maybe the problem occurs that I feel that some people are hesitating to take to participate in some team activities or to participate in some discussions. So either I feel that problem during the intervention or I have some idea that this might happen before. So I start the intervention, and at the same time while doing the intervention I also start collecting data or making observations about this possible hurdle. right? So because it is important for me as a program, you know, conductor, that I want to deal with this, that people shouldn't hesitate. They should feel free to participate in discussions, but it's not happening for some reason for some people. So I need to tackle that problem. So while I'm doing the intervention, I'll also do a research, or I'll also do a study and make observation that in which situations people feel hesitant, regarding which topics people feel like they hesitate to talk about. Uh, are there any gender aspects? Are there any age aspects? Are there any other social aspects? So I'm doing a research, and at the same time I'm conducting the study as according to my own requirements. So that is called as action research. So, and it is focused on very immediate problems. Like in the this program, I need to solve this, and that's why it is different than applied research. It is applied, but it is much more in now for the immediate problem. And it happens simultaneously. But action research is never like pure, you know, data collection for the sake of research. Something is going on and you collect data at the same time. So that is the uniqueness of action research. Obviously, it happens during field investigation, and sometimes it can also happen. So suppose it is a, in my example, the awareness program is for 10 days. I start data collection from day 1 or day 2, and after day 5 or 6 I have enough data to find some conclusions. And I find that yes, when in this rural area, when there are boys and girls in the same room, girls hesitate more to talk about health issues when boys are there. Something very simple. So then, by getting this understanding, by concluding this from my observation, suppose that in days 7, 8, 9, 10, I try to I try out an solution for it, that I'll keep the boys in different group and girls in different group, and then observe how they are interacting. If it improves the participation, that that would be the, even trying out of the solution. That would be also an action research, where I'm trying out a solution. Is this solution working? And by the day 10, by the end of day 10, maybe I'll feel that, yeah, this was the problem, this was the reason, and this solution works. So action research is on the go research. It happens simultaneously with a program or intervention. Okay, I think that's simple enough. Yeah, explorative research. As the name suggests, it's about exploring. Here, the research starts with very less or almost no expectations, or mm, very less knowledge about what is going to happen. We don't have much of the clue about how these variables would act out. We are almost starting from scratch. So when we have little or no idea about how the variables will, how things will work out, and how, what would be the results and what would be the observations, then we call it explorative study, because we don't have enough information to start with. So we started as an exploration. So we started as a very open approach where we are exploring. In such cases, many times no hypotheses are formed, because even for forming hypothesis, you have to have some idea about uh, how the variables act. For example, there are two completely unrelated variables or unstudied variables. Suppose there is one about the room temperature and mm, speed of writing. They would still be connected. But let's suppose that we have no literature available, and we don't have much idea how it will play out, and we are going to try out various levels of room temperature and then measure the speed. So room temperature would be our IV, and speed of writing would be our DV. But we don't have much information to start with, so we could keep an open mind, and we either don't form an hypothesis because we are really open about it. Hypothesis is sort of, an expectation that this might happen, but we don't have even that much information. So either there is no hypothesis, or the hypothesis is null, that there is no relationship. We start with the expectation that there is no relationship, and then let the data decide whether there is any relationship or not. So this is called as explorative study. Yeah, or explorative research. Evaluative research is very, mm, very, you know, I believe it's used a lot many times where it's not aware of it. So when any program or intervention or any certain attempt or certain attempt to improve something, etc., is done, then was this program useful? Was this program efficient in bringing out that change? When research is done to decide the effect of any program or efficiency of any program or policy, then it's called as evaluative research. For example, there's this Proud Saksharta Abhiyan going on, adult literacy programs. Suppose state brought new policy, state brought new policy about, you know, this adult education, and then it's suppose it started 2015. The policies were changed in 2015. New techniques were brought into, new rules were brought into, and after 2 years of applying it, suppose 2015 and 16, we want to study, was it helpful? Yes, we brought that form, we brought that policy, we changed so many things, but are these techniques efficient? Then we actually carry out an evaluative study where we measure the effect of this study. So what would be the effect of adult literature program? That the literacy rate would go on in the areas where this policy was, applied, or these techniques were applied. And if there is a change, if there is enough significant change, then we may conclude that yes, the program was efficient, right? That's why it's also called as like program evaluation study. So it measures the real practical effect of any program or policy or any intervention. uh, Another example, real life example, would be, there is a fees concession for girl students for up to 12 standards. So what is the reason? So is to promote uh, girls to study beyond their matriculation, beyond the 10th exam. So is it helping? So we look into the data before this policy, how many percent of girls enrolled and completed 12th standard examination, and new data after implication of, after applying this new rule and giving this fees concession. If there is significant increase, then we can say yes, this policy was helpful, it actually promoted education among girls. So this is evaluative research.